is that the classified information and unclassified, it's public, showed that our intelligence discovered that not that long ago, Iran had developed the supreme leader, now dead is fried chicken, but they have a new supreme leader, had developed a new game plan for their nuclear weapons program. And their game plan was to jack up missile, both ballistic and cruise missile production and drone production, and put together this huge stockpile of missiles and drones, at which point they would turn to the United States and Israel and the rest of the world and say, we're going to restart our nuclear weapons program. If you bomb us again like you did in June, we will destroy the Middle East. And by the way, our missiles can now reach Berlin and London and Paris.
Welcome back. You are looking at the surgical deconstruction of a regime that tried to play a high-stakes game of nuclear chicken and lost. Senator John Kennedy didn't step into this room to exchange pleasantries. He came to strip away the facade of a country that held European capitals in its crosshairs. He just exposed a chilling strategic reality. Tehran wasn't merely tinkering with rockets. They were jacking up an industrial-scale arsenal. Ballistic, cruise, and suicide drones specifically designed to create a blackmail shield. The scheme was clear. Hold London and Paris hostage as human shields while they finalized a nuclear warhead in the dark. This wasn't just a threat. It was a move toward total geopolitical paralysis of the West. They believed that by jacking up their conventional production, they could create a permanent state of fear that would force Washington and Tel Aviv into submission. But as Kennedy so ruthlessly highlighted, that game plan evaporated the moment their leadership was turned into fried chicken. We're moving past the typical political theater here to examine how this administration's military posture actually decapitated a global extortion racket. Watch as Secretary Pete Hegseth is forced to validate the absolute necessity of crushing a regime that used conventional terror to buy time for nuclear weapons.
Is that my understanding of one of the reasons, the main reason we went into Iran?
I think that's pretty well articulated, Senator, that they were trying to use the umbrella of their established conventional stockpiles to blackmail the rest of the world in pursuit of their own nuclear weapons.
Pretty well articulated. That is Pete Hegseth essentially admitting that Kennedy has officially detonated the myth of Iranian strength. This campaign wasn't just about tactical points. It was a preemptive strike against a global blackmail machine before it hit the point of no return. Now, let's audit the wreckage. While the mainstream talking heads and the anti-war lobbyists cry about a quagmire, the declassified metrics tell a story of total institutional collapse. Kennedy isn't just describing a defeat, he's describing a nation-state currently held together by spit and duct tape. This is a regime stripped of its teeth, its air defenses, and its very dignity. When Kennedy talks about a 70% unemployment rate and 70% inflation, he's describing a country that has suffered a complete skeletal collapse. Its nervous system is shattered. Its internet is dark. Imagine a former regional power so hollowed out that their skies are now an open highway for anyone with a cockpit. We are watching a systemic meltdown in real time, a strategic suffocation that has left the Ayatollahs clinging to a broken infrastructure. Listen as Kennedy audits the victories that the media is too afraid to acknowledge.
Now let's talk about Iran today. Can we agree that Iran, both the public and the private sector, is being held together right now with spit and duct tape?
Spit and duct tape is not a doctrinal term, Senator, but I would agree with something along those lines.
It's a Louisiana term. I mean, 7 out of 10 Iranians are out of work. We bomb their infrastructure. They've got 70% inflation. Their internet's shut off. You know better than I do what we've done on the military side. Their launchers, gone. Their missiles, for the most part, gone. Their drones, gone. Do they have some left? Yeah. Their Navy, gone. Their Air Force, gone. You can get in an airplane, you personally, and fly anywhere you want to across Iran right now and feel safe because they don't have any air defenses.
Navy gone, Air Force gone, air defenses non-existent. This isn't a mere military setback. It's the total liquidation of a civilization's ability to exert force. Kennedy's Cessna analogy is the ultimate humiliation. The Secretary of Defense could take a Sunday flight over Tehran, and the Ayatollahs couldn't even throw a rock at him. They are a sovereign nation that has effectively lost the sovereign part. But here is the silent killer, the part that ensures this regime stays in the dirt for a generation. It's not just about the bombs, it's about the economic physics of a dying engine. Kennedy points to the low-pressure oil fields, and this is where realism hits the floor. Most people don't realize that oil fields aren't just faucets you can turn back on. Once you lose the pressure, the cost to recover those wells becomes astronomical. It's a geological death warrant. If you think Iran can just reboot their economy after the blockade, Kennedy is here to explain why physics says that's a hallucination. Once those wells lose pressure, the regime's lifeblood stops flowing forever, leaving them with nothing but empty pipes and a dead future.
I don't understand how we've lost. Is the strait closed? Yes. But if we continue that blockade, where nothing's going in and nothing's going out, eventually they're going to have to shut down their oil fields, are they not? Half of their oil fields are low pressure. Once they put them down, they're not going to get them back up. Am I missing something here?
No, that's why the president is right when he says we hold all the cards, and we do. And we've got the best deal maker in the world able to make the best deal for the United States of America. And if we have to go back at it as the Department of War, we're ready to do that as well.
Once they put them down, they're not going to get them back up. That is the sound of a permanent economic lobotomy. We didn't just break their sword, we dismantled the factory that makes it. But let's kill the savior myth. The critics love to say China or Russia will just bail them out. Kennedy exposes that for the fantasy it is. China isn't a charity. They are a cold, calculating predator. They aren't going to pour billions into a sinkhole that can't defend itself or pump its own oil. In the ruthless world of global finance, no one is writing a $1 trillion check for a fried chicken regime with no air, force and dead wells. Kennedy forces the committee to face the math. $1 trillion in 20 years just to reach a baseline of survival. That is an investment with zero return. Tehran has become a strategic liability, a black hole that will swallow any currency thrown into it. Kennedy's logic is a total wrecking ball to the idea that Tehran has any lifeline left in the East.
It will be, in my opinion, 20 years and cost $1 trillion before they're even back somewhat to normal. And I don't have the slightest idea where they're going to get the money. If they think China's going to give it to them or Russia, they've got to learn a hard lesson. To that extent, have we achieved our objective in Iran?
Objective, as this president has stated from the beginning, is to ensure they don't get a nuclear weapon, and President Trump remains dedicated to ensuring that happens. And everything you described with the military degradation of their country was in service of ensuring they never get a nuclear weapon.
This is what...
$1 trillion in 20 years. That's the invoice for trying to bully the United States. Despite this absolute structural erasure of a global threat, the Washington Beltway, specifically the Democratic camp, is still trying to frame this total victory as a failure. They are so consumed by their political opposition that they refuse to see the scoreboard. Kennedy has a very specific footnote for them. He offers Hegseth a reality check on the blood pressure of dealing with partisans who would rather see the world burn than see the president win a major strategic victory. He also pivots to the most misunderstood part of America First. The media calls it isolation. Kennedy calls it leading from the front, where everyone else pays their fair share. It's about building a coalition where allies are actual partners, not dependents. This is the new, cold reality of 21st century power. If you want America's protection, you carry your weight.
Now, many of my Democratic friends are now trying to say we have lost. Here's a footnote. You're not going to get Democratic support. They're not. They're not going to support you, Mr. Secretary, because they don't support President Trump. I know that's not a newsflash. But they say we've lost. I don't get it. I don't understand how we've lost. Is the strait closed? Yes. But if we continue that blockade, where nothing's going in and nothing's going out, eventually they're going to have to shut down their oil fields, are they not? Half of their oil fields are low pressure. Once they put them down, they're not going to get them back up. Am I missing something here?
No, that's why the president is right when he says we hold all the cards, and we do. And we've got the best deal maker in the world able to make the best deal for the United States of America. And if we have to go back at it as the Department of War, we're ready to do that as well.
Well, keep two things in mind. You're not going to win over my Democratic friends. It's not worth getting your blood pressure up. Focus on other things. And number two, just keep this in mind. America first does not have to mean America alone. America first does not have to mean America alone. We need all the friends we can get. They need to carry their own weight. They need to pay their bills. But the more the better.
America first does not have to mean America alone, but it does mean the free ride is officially over. Kennedy just placed one of the world's most controversial governments under intense public scrutiny, and the message was unmistakable. The old Iran is fading fast. Their strategy was shredded, their leaders are fried chicken, and their military power has been liquidated. They are currently clinging to life with spit and duct tape while waiting for $1 trillion ghost from China that will never appear. This isn't the realism of the DC elite. It's the cold, hard fact that the U.S. is holding every single card. In this deck, while the media cries over tactical details and irrelevant political friction, the nuclear threat has been buried under the weight of dead oil fields and 70% inflation. We have fundamentally shifted the balance of power, and it was done by choosing action over wish fulfillment. If this video helped you bypass the quagmire lies and see the true strategic win, hit like and share. Don't let them bury the facts. Drop a comment below. Is the regime truly fried chicken now? Subscribe for more truths they want hidden. This was a masterclass in global accountability. I'll see you in the next one.
But now you're blaming the men and women who conducted this
stop
great
that.
search.
I'm not blaming anybody other than you. You're not keeping your word.
FBI Director Kash Patel just officially walked into a trap at the House Judiciary Committee with a simple press of a play button. Representative Jamie Raskin completely ripped off Patel's swamp drainer mask on live television. The man who once loudly swore to expose the entirety of billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein's black book is now, after more than 200 days in power, using the most weasel-worded language to keep the files sealed, covering up for the powerful names lurking in the shadows. Welcome back to our in-depth news analysis. Today, we are heading straight into the epicenter of this historic hearing. We will dissect how Jamie Raskin used Kash Patel's own words to convict him, break down every legal smokescreen regarding court orders, and decode the most brutal question. Ultimately, which shadow establishment is the FBI director using his supreme power to protect behind Epstein's criminal empire?
Protecting the world's foremost predator, that seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
To fully understand the humiliation of Kash Patel in this hearing, we must look back at his path to power. Kash Patel didn't climb to the top of the power ladder quietly. Instead, he used the media as a launching pad, building the persona of an outsider warrior ready to declare war on the FBI's rot. And the Jeffrey Epstein case was the vanguard banner Patel waved to win over the public. Recall what he relentlessly preached on right-wing television channels in 2023. When asked about the FBI's delay in releasing Epstein's client list, Patel fiercely condemned the agency. He bluntly called the sealing of the files an evil thing, accusing the FBI of acting as a shield for humanity's biggest pedophile predator simply out of fear of the powers backing him. He didn't stop there. Patel explicitly named the key holder. The Black Book is under the direct control of the FBI director. He even challenged the politicians of the time to put on their big boy pants and bring the truth to light. A razor-sharp logical framework was established by Patel himself. Whoever holds the FBI director's chair and hides the book is a complicit partner in covering up the crime. And then the wheel of fate turned. Jamie Raskin, a brilliant mind with 2 decades of teaching constitutional law, gathered all those arrogant statements and turned them into a sword held right at Patel's throat. No table pounding, no yelling. Raskin simply looked straight at Patel and delivered the fatal blow. Director, you were sworn in more than 200 days ago, according to exactly what you claimed. That black book is currently sitting right in your hands. So why, up to this very minute, do you still refuse to release it? With just one stroke, Raskin backed the new director into a dead end. Kash Patel couldn't pass the buck to the Democrats, nor could he drag his predecessors out as scapegoats, because right now, he is the one sitting on the throne. All power and responsibility are concentrated on him alone, undeniable and inescapable. The survival instinct of any politician backed into a corner is to use the law as a shield. And Kash Patel, the man who once despised bureaucratic rules, suddenly transformed into a dutiful civil servant, strictly adhering to the law. Instead of answering the question directly, Patel started talking in circles, weakly, defending himself by saying he couldn't bypass 3 federal court orders. I'm not going to trample on the law just to satisfy your curiosity. Patel tried to salvage a shred of dignity. At first glance, this argument drips with the spirit of the rule of law. But under Jamie Raskin's piercing gaze, it was nothing but a clumsy and utterly hypocritical charade. Raskin instantly countered, tearing off that disguise. He pointed out a glaring reality. No one asked Patel to break the law. The question is, if Patel truly craved transparency as he once preached, why didn't he use his power to petition the court to lift the gag orders? We are talking about the FBI, a colossal power machine with America's elite legal minds. In the past, Patel's administration utilized this exact power, filing countersuits to higher courts to demand the declassification of political files beneficial to his faction. The U.S. judicial system always has loopholes and mechanisms for executive agencies to appeal sealing orders, especially when the case involves extreme public interest. Even a federal judge had already set the table, affirming the government is the most logical party to proactively disclose these files. The law cleared the path, yet Kash Patel tied his own hands. The fact that he sat motionless without filing a single appeal or making any legal move exposed a brutal truth. The court's order wasn't stopping Patel. Patel himself was using the court's order to legitimize burying the list of pedophiles. He wasn't gagged. He voluntarily sewed his own mouth shut to protect the shadow establishment. The disaster for Kash Patel didn't stop at being exposed by a political rival. The real earthquake shaking his chair comes from his own ideological allies, the right-wing voters and politicians who once saw him as a savior. To prove that this is a national crisis of faith and not just a partisan vendetta, Raskin threw undeniable proof onto the table. An emergency discharge petition demanding transparency for the Epstein files, boasting 217 signatures from House representatives. Ironically, for Patel, sitting prominently on that list of 217 are the most hardcore names of the MAGA movement, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. These are the people who placed their absolute trust and poured in their votes to put Patel at the pinnacle of power, certain he would keep his vow to leave no stone unturned. Yet now, they're the ones forced to sign papers to make him do his job. Representative Massie once publicly revealed that classified files had pinpointed at least 20 heavy-hitting figures tied to Epstein's trafficking ring. Yet, that number 20 completely evaporated in the pile of 33,000 heavily redacted documents. The FBI just tossed out to pacify public outrage. When an FBI director is attacked by the opposition, it's just a normal day in Washington. But when his own core base turns its back on him for such a blatant criminal cover-up, it's the death knell for his political career. Kash Patel's calculated silence has turned his former supporters into betrayed victims, and their fury is burning fiercer than ever. When the linguistic armor collapses and every sophistry is broken, we are forced to stare directly into the darkest abyss of this hearing. The question Jamie Raskin threw right in Kash Patel's face, only to be met with dead silence. Ultimately, who does this brazen cover-up serve? Let's use Patel's own frame of reference to judge him. If hiding the files in the past was protecting the predator, then Patel's current complicity in maintaining that silence is complicity at the highest level. We must clearly understand the nature of Epstein's black book. It is not a standard contact list. It is a ticking time bomb holding the political lives and reputations of the ultra-elite. It names the tycoons manipulating the markets, the mega donors pouring money into election campaigns, powerful former leaders, and the invisible architects designing the global rules of the game. The fact that Kash Patel would rather swallow his pride before Congress, sacrifice his political image, and betray his allies than bring that book to light proves a chilling truth. The pressure from the phantoms within that black book is tens of thousands of times greater and more terrifying than the authority of the U.S. Congress. And naturally, far exceeds the power of an FBI director. Kash Patel once smugly claimed he held the book, but the harsh reality indicates the exact opposite. The book is shackling and manipulating him. Are there supreme donors keeping the current political system alive in there? Are there no-go zones that, if touched, would cause the entire empire of vested interest to collapse? Or is the cruel rule of the elite class simply that, once you step into the system, you must obey the code of silence in exchange for survival? Patel used to curse his predecessors as cowards when they stayed silent. But today, sitting firmly on the throne of power, he is proving to America he didn't walk into Capitol Hill to drain the swamp. He is simply the new guard, tasked with ensuring the filthiest secrets and continue to sleep peacefully at the bottom of the swamp. The confrontation at the House Judiciary Committee was not merely a political interrogation. It was a shedding of skin where the power system's mask of deceit was stripped clean. Jamie Raskin flawlessly fulfilled the role of a truth surgeon, leaving Kash Patel naked, weak, and utterly hypocritical in the middle of the hearing room. The FBI's stubbornness in the Epstein case is absolutely not a limitation of the law. It is a deliberate decision, a cold-blooded transaction meant to create an umbrella protecting the ultra-rich from the judgment of justice, while heartlessly trampling on the cries of countless victims. However, 217 lawmaker signatures are just the beginning, as the public increasingly recognizes the true faces of those using the name of justice to cover up crimes. The outrage will mutate into an unstoppable wave. What do the viewers of this broadcast think about this shocking event? Do you believe Kash Patel is truly handcuffed by the law, or is this blatantly a clumsy charade to cover up the most massive pedophile network in history? What shadow power is truly pulling the strings of this FBI director? Leave your perspective in the comment section below so we can debate. Don't forget to hit like, share this video to spread the truth, and subscribe to the channel for continuous updates on the sharpest U.S. political analysis and investigative news. Goodbye, and see you in our next Focal Points.